Hi, Ilana. Hi, Taiwo. Nice to see you both.
Right.
Lovely to have you both. Excited for this panel discussion. I want to encourage those that are watching to also include any questions you have in the chat, and I'll be happy to include them in our conversation today. So I know Taiwo builds tools. Ellen also works with a tool. So in your day-to-day work, what technology tools do you use to deliver projects and make decisions? Can I get to Taiwo first?
Okay. As a software developer, I use Cursor. So Cursor is just an extension of VS Code, but with AI, specifically for AI inbuilt coding.
You're gonna
And
have to break that down for us because we don't.
Yeah.
okay. um, as a software developer, we have to write code to perform some functions. And what Cursor does is it's got AI inbuilt, so you
Okay.
can ask questions. You can ask it to do the work for you if you know how to operate and ask the right questions. You can ask it to plan what you're going to do next. So
Okay.
you necessarily don't even need to be a good software developer. You just need to know how to ask the right questions and in yeah another tool that helps me more is the Comet browser. So
Mhm.
it's a browser built on Chrome, but it's got AI inbuilt. I usually use this one to automate things for me. Say I wanted to fill a form, but I'm too lazy to type in all the information. So I just prompt it, fill all the information based on this. And it also automates a lot of activities for you.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you, Taiwo. And Ellen, I know that you work for a company that actually has built a tool. So I guess from your point of view, what tool do you use for your decisions and to manage your projects, and how does your tool help others with that?
Okay. Yeah. I guess personally, I'm a very big believer on in your AI assistance, if you will. So I actually use commonly using, it depends on your organization, but some organizations are maybe using Google, and so you have Google and you have Gemini, where I can create and build. Gemini gems, or you are have access to OpenAI and you can actually make personalized GPTs. So I have actually created my own personal assistants around daily tasks that I do. So for strategy initiatives, growth initiatives, I've built an agent called Stanley, the strategist, and I always go to Stanley when I'm working on a particular project that requires a bit of brainstorming and thinking in that sense. And what Stanley does is that, I've built within this tool, I've built his knowledge base, so added files and information. I use AI Claude to create a role for him and a description of how Stanley is going to help me automate my tasks. And with all the strategy and documentation that I've built in knowledge system on a day-to-day, I go to Stanley for any strategy refinement. And what he does is that his output is my first draft. From
Mm,
there, I then iterate based on, my personal experiences, conversations I've had with clients, perhaps, and that then I whether I need to take it to the team or it's already a refined document for me to share, that's what I do. And within our tool, HeartCount, which I'll get to in a little bit later on in the segment, we using AI to essentially AI takes silent risks, or it identifies silent risks, which might be burnout or operational friction within your organization. It's identifying those risks for you, and then it helps or provides leaders with information and insights into how they can act on employee sentiment or employee disengagement before that affects your organization's bottom line or your yearly targets in that sense.
amazing, amazing. It feels like from both of you, it's almost like having your own personal employee to support you in the task that you're doing. Thank you for that. And someone has just asked, Ellen, how did you build these AI tools? How did your background help you to do this?
Oh, interesting question. I would say, in terms of my background, it was a lot of learning when you're the way AI and I guess the tech space has evolved over time, it almost feels like tools are just moving and evolving month by month, week by week, year by year. So it was staying current. You know what tech was in 2020 is different to what I know it today. So really, just staying current with who in my space is using certain tools, and I love LinkedIn and I love YouTube. So going to YouTube, I feel as though YouTube is almost like your own personal university where you can learn how to navigate different tools, whether it's AI, art, or whatever the case is. So that was me, just going to school for free on YouTube and being able to all these agents based on just research and other people that are experts in the space.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of information out there. Like you said, it's free learning to read, and it breaks it down as well into ways that are easy to implement, even if you're not massively technical. And that moves me to my next question. There is often a perception that advanced tech tools are only used by highly technical roles, such as Taiwo's, and this is why I'll direct the question to him. From your experience, how are non-technical teams also using digital tools and AI in their work?
Okay, that's a good question. Again, you necessarily don't need to know um, or be very technical when you're using AI. From my experience, I've realized that the person that can ask the right question would be able to make the most use of AI. So
Yeah.
when asking the question, it's more about you explain the scenario, the context, you explain the problem, then you explain what you're planning to achieve. If you can ask that question and be more, rather than being generic, if you're being more specific, the AI will give you something that's very good. Like they always say, garbage in equals garbage out. So, in terms of the teams that I work with who are not very technical, usually they use it for calculations, maybe something that's very advanced. You want to save time, or document processing, or project management. Even with Jira, for example, it's got AI inbuilt that you can just get AI to do most of the work. Also, I think that's kind of like the broad field that I have experience in. So in terms of also maybe a part with my company, there was a time when I was trying to recruit for a specific role. And after posting on LinkedIn, I was getting up to like about 100, 200 responses. I never expected that. So it was impossible to respond to every
Yeah.
request. And then the problem now is I wasn't specific enough. I just said contact me. So people would just say I hello, and they weren't getting straight to the point. So at some point there wasn't a way to say just send your CV. That's all I need. So and after a while I just deleted the post because I couldn't undo the amount of people reaching out. And one
Yeah.
of the things I had to do to help with the recruitment was use AI. Again, the Comet browser. So I prompted to respond to every message that doesn't have a specific thing I needed, so which it did the job quite well. So in that aspect, even in the recruitment field, um,
Mhm.
uh, the Comet browser. Anything that can help with automation does help. So again, with document processing, reading through the CVs, highlighting, finding out the right skills you want, and then responding to people. So yeah, that's within the scope of the field that I've worked in, maybe document processing, recruitment,
Yeah.
calculations, and helping to make decisions. Obviously, don't allow AI to make the full decision. You have to oversee, like they always say, treat AI like a junior. Don't let it do
Mm.
it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even what Ellen said as well, that it produces the first draft, but it's using it, but still having that human oversight. Thank you for that. And I think we have a question in the comments, Tyler. Someone has said, with the current fears oh, with the current fears of becoming obsolete with AI, Tyler, would you say that the best way to use AI tools is to complement our current work? Because there are also employees that are scared to use AI tools because if it proves to be really competent, then their jobs may be at risk. So, what is the best way to use AI? Is it just to complement our current work? And how do we overcome that fear, I guess?
Um, it's very tricky because when you rely on AI more, you tend to start losing some of the skills that you've gained for a long time. I was in that stage where I was relying more on AI. Then I realized no, this is not helping. But it's a tool, in the past, people would say I think when, from what I've read, I wasn't born then, when TV came out, some people were saying, oh, it's from the devil, is this, is that, or so many things. You see, there's always this people who don't move forward with whatever is, should I say, raining, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But what I always advise is, if there is a trend, always follow the trend, because when there is a revolution, people who don't adapt will be left behind. So again,
Mhm.
yes, use AI as a, um, like I say, as a junior developer. Use it to learn, use it to help yourself, but don't completely rely and let it make the decisions for you.
Mhm.
Amazing. Thank you for this. And we have another question, and I can actually pose that to both Ellen and then Taiwo in the chat. Someone has asked, based on what you've said about what you went through with recruiting for your company, would you say that AI helps to refine our messy ideas? So maybe Ellen, you can take this one, and then Taiwo, you can add to this. Does it help to
Okay.
refine our messy ideas?
I guess I would just want to clarify by the last part of this question, helping to refine any messy ideas in the sense of what exactly?
So maybe we say messy processes, or maybe we have a rough idea of what we want. Does AI help us to actually add structure to that and refine the output for that? Yes.
Yeah, well, I think if it's based on, well, in terms of who went through with recruiting, in I personally am not working within the recruiting space, so I wouldn't know how it comes from that sentiment of recruiting. But just in terms of AI and how that actually helps navigate the ideas, I definitely think yes. You have When I think of brainstorming sessions that I've either had with a team or myself, you have so many different perspectives on a particular idea that you have, or when you're collaborating with different minds. I think that AI, if you have a direction that you're going in with a particular project, AI can help synthesize all that sentiment, all your kind of points that teams have come up with, and then come to one kind of giving you that 60% of work that your team can use your draft, and then going from there and iterating that. So almost working like a funnel is how I would see it. AI is
Yeah.
helping you navigate all those messy ideas, bringing you down to closer to the bottom of the funnel, and then that's where that 40% your human soul that goes into a particular project or idea. That's where I think you able to refine those ideas at the bottom of that funnel. And I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Ellen. And Taiwo?
So in the first place, understanding that the concept of AI, what AI just does is, it fetches, or should I say, based on all the records or data that we have over time, since, I don't know, since when we started keeping data, what AI does is just grabs information that's relevant to what you're asking based on the
Mm,
knowledge base that it has. So the first thing is, the it does help to, yes, refine your messy idea, but I always recommend, um say you needed AI to help you plan something, always do it yourself. Don't completely rely on AI. Do it yourself, then ask AI for advice, because all it's essentially doing is just gathering data from someone else that has been saved somewhere, and then just feeding it back to you. And then
Yeah,
again, always understanding that garbage in means garbage out. If you bring messy idea with garbage questions, you're going to get garbage answers. So
absolutely.
yeah, so yeah, it will definitely help you refine your ideas based on the input it receives.
Absolutely, and that's a skill in itself.
Mhm.
Sometimes how to structure those prompts. We
Yeah.
move to our next question. Yes, sorry, Alan, were you gonna?
Sorry, no, I was just going to add that, a particular skill of prompt engineering is also maybe a really good skill to try to learn. So just giving particular prompts, like Taiwo was saying, you want to come with your ideas and ask AI. So when you're asking AI, maybe investing in learning how to prompt engineer to get the most useful outputs where you're still adding the human value to it and you're still getting that information from AI that you need, ultimately, I think will be beneficial when using these kind of tools.
Yes, really important, really, really important. Thank you for that. And our next question is: many professionals feel overwhelmed by the number of tools available today. There are loads of tools. How should someone decide which tools are actually worth learning? Taiwo?
Okay. I remember I mentioned this in the last discussion we had. What I normally do, which I think has helped me in my journey, is whenever I'm stuck on decision to make, I just ask around. That's one. Secondly, maybe again on LinkedIn, search for like job descriptions. Look at the tools, look at what the important skills or tools that has been listed.
Mm,
Look to about 3 to 5 different jobs. So whatever stands out is that will give you the confidence to know that, okay, this is what I need to focus on. Or if you have maybe a um, community for maybe a specific niche, they
yes.
might list a lot of things that would help you. For example, as a developer, with the community I'm in, there is this. I keep seeing posts about, for example, Rust, which is a programming language. So
Mm.
because of that, it's kind of like I keep seeing the same thing. So because of that, it's pushed me to say, okay, let me go and learn this too. And I can see that it's something that's very important uh, for my work. And when AI started picking up, it was because of my community that I started to see that this is very important and I need to start learning. So, yeah, that's a way I would say, just within your community, or asking questions, or even just researching, and seeing anything you see that keeps recurring, or that keeps being repeated consistently. That means that should prompt you to go and learn about the skill.
Absolutely. And Ellen?
Yes, I think I would piggyback off of a lot of what he said, but if I were just to give 2 points to that, is definitely find your, I would say, industry north stars. So who, like Taiwo said earlier, going to LinkedIn, who in your industry are you? Who are the thought leaders in your industry? So going to LinkedIn, going to YouTube, find those thought leaders that are, for example, maybe working in the space of data analysis, and follow their work. Look at what tools that they're using, but not just the tools, but look at what problems they're solving. If you're looking for to tap into a different or a particular industry, if you're looking at the job description versus the tools that need to be used, you might find that maybe in data analysis, when I was at least breaking into data analysis, there were several tools that were required for coding, and I only found in the space I might have just been using SQL as opposed to Python and the rest of them. So look at how they're solving those tools, and then just to refine that, pick a power pair. So if there is a list of maybe 5 tools that you're seeing a trend on job description, pick 2 of those that are the most essential. tools for you to use. And so your baseline tools that you can see that are carried throughout every single job description, learn those. And usually when you know one tool, you can pick up on another. So if you, for example, know if you know Excel and you know how to do pivot tables in Excel and you know how to use maybe Power BI, you
Yeah.
typically would probably be able to know how to, well, easily be able to pick up SQL and then maybe Tableau, because some of those skills or tools are interchangeable.
Amazing. It's really, really true. Thank you for that, Ellen and Taiwo. And I know at this point, Ellen you're going to show us a little bit about HeartCount, which is a tool that businesses and companies can use when it comes to sitting within the HR space. So over to you, Ellen. I will just put that on the screen for you.
Awesome. I think I can go straight to sharing my screen, what I'll do. But just at a high level, yeah, it's okay for me. Yeah. Let me go to sharing my screen and just let me know whether you can see my screen here. Are we all good?
I don't think we can't currently see it. Just bear with.
I should be able to, if I stop sharing and then. So maybe if I share a particular tab, can you see it now?
No, not currently.
Can you see it?
Not at the moment. Let's just have a look. 1 second. Yes, we can see it. I'll just add that to the stage. Thank you.
You can see it. Okay, perfect. So at a high level, what HeartCount is that it's your organizational visibility tool. So what it does is that it gives you or provides you with real-time pulse on your team or real-time pulse on your organization before burnout or disengagement or even silent resignations occur. So ultimately, what it does is that you start with a 15-second pulse. So your pulses, if I go to your team pulse, what this includes is you get 3 questions that take you 15 seconds at the end of every week. First question is always the same. How did you feel this week? And the rest of the questions allow you to provide your company or your organization with sentiment into how you are feeling in that particular week or within your teams and the tasks that you're doing on your day-to-day. So after completing these surveys, when we look at your sentiment or what your organization, how the data is collected, this is what it looks like. You're, as a manager or as a leader that is using this tool, you're able to get a high-level overview of how your teams or your employees are feeling within your organization. So if I move over to our platform provides several other aspects, like aspects of communication, where you can communicate between your employee. As a manager, you can communicate with your employees back and forth, or you can, as an employee, you can praise different people in your teams, continuing that further engagement within your organization. But what the beauty is for managers and leaders within your organization is that you have this visibility map. So this visibility map gives you a high-level idea of what your organization sentiment looks like against your different departments and even your different teams and sub-teams. So as a leader, I'm looking at this visibility map and I'm able to pinpoint the operational friction that's happening in my team. So if I'm looking at the tech team and I can see that the system is flagging sentiment based on productivity and relationship with colleagues, what I can do is dig a little deeper here and identify particular individuals in the team that may be at risk. And so the system is telling me, Claire Doe, she's a top performer and she's at risk of burnout. And what I want to do now is dig a little deeper and find Claire Doe's profile and go into what sentiment is actually driving this kind of this kind of churn. And so I will go into our AI module in just a second, but AI is now consolidating all that information for you as a leader to be able to navigate through the sentiment and comment that Claire has been sharing with the organization. Our system gives you this overall employee health for Claire so that you can start having those one-on-ones and really digging deeper. Now we're looking at AI insights, and what is the most dangerous profile in an organization is for you to have a top performer that is at risk of burnout. So what I want to do with my AI at this moment is I want to sift, or at least drill down to my top performers that are at risk of burnout, and then I at least want them to have one of these tags. So with AI, I'm trying to identify which team, which week, which period of time the sentiment matches my query here. And I want to drill a bit deeper into churn. Who is at high risk of churn? So again, I see Claire Doe, but I also see Clayton. And what AI has done here is that it's summarized all the information from pulse checks to comments, DMs, communications, and praises that have been given by Clayton and his teams. And it's giving you summary on his participation, his well-being, his maybe factors that are contributing to this type of sentiment, as well as recommendations. Now, for me as a leader, I'm able to take these recommendations and further refine them and decide how am I going to tackle Clayton's sentiment or Clayton's kind of disengagement before that impacts my business's performance. And so ultimately, when you're looking at an organization and on an organizational level, when you are supporting your team's well-being or individuals' well-being, you're actually supporting or protecting the profitability of your business. And just not to go into too much detail, that is at a high level what HR organizations are, or how they're using AI in terms of employee engagement and performance management. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Ellen, for that really cool demonstration. I know someone has said, where can they find this information and where can they get access to the tool? And we'll definitely be sharing that with you all post the webinar. We have one more question before I let yourself and Taiwo go. Someone has mentioned, just going back to the prompt engineering and how to use prompts. How do we learn how to prompt correctly?
So with prompt engineering, there are several platforms that actually ask you, or several platforms that you can use to learn prompt engineering. I personally, when I didn't have a budget, I started using just general ChatGPT or Gemini. If you ask, or Claude AI is a very good one as well, giving you really refined documentation. So if you ask, please type into Claude AI, please can you provide me with a exam style or a lesson style prompt engineering kind of documentation so that I can start learning how to prompt. That would be one of the, I think maybe the most cost efficient ways to do that, as these AI tools are mostly free. And then going to YouTube, my best friend for university. If you're on a budget, go for YouTube. There are plenty of videos there that you can use to help with basic prompts. And on top of that, of course, going to online learning platforms like Coursera and the like, you'll find courses on prompt engineering.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you once again,